story begins in the high deserts of southwestern Wyoming. Wyoming is a key area for golden eagles in the United States and has some of the best wintering habitats and migration corridors for the birds. However, golden eagle populations in the West are struggling due to a number of factors, including habitat loss, lead poisoning, and declining prey. A new virus that affects rabbits was detected in Wyoming in December 2020. It is called rabbit hemorrhagic disease virus 2. It affects all jackrabbits, cottontails, and pygmy rabbits. With the absence of rabbits, golden eagles utilize prairie dogs, ground squirrels, and other rodents, as well as sage grouse and ducks. Golden eagles are avian apex predators, meaning they make their living at the top of the food chain. This area is abundant with pronghorn antelope, mule deer, and elk, as well as large herds of wild horses. Carrion from these herds provides food for eagles during the winter. The cold temperatures keep the meat fresh. Golden eagles prefer to hunt live prey. Black-billed magpies often escort golden eagles. The magpie will get a free meal from what the eagle leaves behind. In March and April, golden eagles often attack sage grouse leks, or strutting grounds, looking for a battle-worn boomer. I recently have observed an interesting behavior: northern shrikes attacking golden eagles. What I believe the shrikes are trying to do is force the eagle to leave. Before the eagle flies, they will often cast up a pellet or casting from the previous meal. The shrike then finds the pellet and goes through it looking for any possible pieces of protein. The black-billed magpie also utilizes the castings. Wild horses are abundant in Wyoming. A coyote has discovered a dead horse. A horse can weigh as much as 2,000 pounds and provide a lot of food for scavengers. With low rabbit populations, the eagles take advantage of any free meal. The male golden eagle is wearing bands, a red band on his right leg, a blue band on the left leg. Common raven populations have increased due to human activity in the high desert. Telephone poles, tanks, and other structures provide nesting platforms for ravens. Increased traffic on highways increases roadkill, and their population has skyrocketed. When rabbit populations are low, golden eagles struggle to raise their young. Low rabbit cycles have always recovered. Let's hope they still will with these new viruses. The banded eagle returns again. Adult eagles will occupy their territories and nest sites, but may fail to raise young if there is not an adequate prey base. In the spring of 2024, I was able to locate 2 active golden eagle eyries, each containing 1 eaglet. In the last 2 years, white-tailed jackrabbits have began to make a comeback. Cottontail rabbits have not rebounded and appear to be much more seriously affected by the RHDV2 virus. Under normal conditions, cottontail rabbits make up 60 to 80% of the diet of nesting golden eagles. The smaller cottontails are easily carried to the nest, whereas a white-tailed jackrabbit, which can weigh 9 pounds, has to be torn in half by the eagles before it can be carried to the nest. The incubation period for a golden eagle is around 41 days. The eaglet hatched May 5th. The first prey item that I was able to record being brought to the nest was the back half of a white-tailed jackrabbit. The male eagle brings in a Wyoming ground squirrel, also known as a Richardson's ground squirrel. By the time the female has fed the ground squirrel, the male has caught another prey item, a white-tailed prairie dog. The male brought the food to the eyrie, but it was the female who came in and fed the eaglet. It is now May 18th, and the eaglet has grown considerably. The next prey item brought to the nest was some sort of waterfowl. It had been plucked of all of its feathers, and I could not positively ID it. I observed the eagles each week for 2 days throughout the nest cycle, which went from early May till mid-July. With the impending storm, the killdeer chick takes shelter under its mother. The female eagle also comes to protect the eaglet from the storm. The eaglet will be in the nest 2.5 months. The only moisture they receive is from prey items the adults bring to the nest. Young eaglet appears to be a female. In eagles and other birds of prey, the female is 1/3 larger than the male. In the late night, a coyote visits the nest site. The adult flies off. The eaglet is safe in its eyrie on the face of the cliff. The great horned owl is a bold predator that would steal a young eaglet from the nest if not protected by the adults. The male brings in a Wyoming ground squirrel. The female is quick to come to the nest to feed the young. The male comes in with a sage grouse. The eaglet is getting larger and should fledge in the next 2 weeks. The prey brought to the nest consists of Wyoming ground squirrels, white-tailed jackrabbits, sage grouse, prairie dogs, and ducks. male comes in with a half-grown white-tailed jackrabbit, which the female eaglet immediately grabs. The young eaglet is now larger than her father. He'll leave the feeding to mom. The female arrives to feed the rabbit to the eaglet. About 6 miles upstream, another pair of eagles has a nest with also one eaglet, a male. The male eaglet in nest 2 is about 2 weeks ahead of the female in nest 1. Both adults at nest 2, when not hunting, were always busy bringing new sticks to the nest. The male eaglet is close to Fledging, and the female tries to coax him from the nest to the top of the ridge. Golden eagles mate for life and can live to be over 40 years old. They are dedicated parents and work hard to ensure the success of the young eaglet. Male has brought in a white-tailed jackrabbit, which the female feeds to the young eaglet. eaglet is now as large as the adults and should soon fledge. The eaglet flaps his wings, enjoying the summer rain shower. That afternoon, a gust of wind blows the eaglet from the nest. The mother eagle comes to the nest to find it empty. The male eagle was now on the rocks directly beneath the nest. Although he is no longer in the nest, the adults will continue to feed and watch over him. 7 days later, I still find the male eaglet at the base of the cliff. Something is not right. At this age, the eaglet should be able to fly. I set up a wide-angle camera, hoping to get the adults coming in to feed the eaglet. The eaglet attempted his first flight and went straight into the river. The eagle was not right. He seemed to have trouble with his vision, and I started to fear that he was infected with West Nile virus. I offered him a piece of elk roast, which he immediately ate. West Nile virus has been found in every county in Wyoming, and in 2023, the state saw the highest number of cases in a decade. West Nile virus often causes blindness in birds. After his plunge in the river, the eaglet began to preen, getting oil from the gland at the top of his tail called the uropygial gland. His eyes didn't look quite right, yet he continued to preen. This gave me hope, for generally a sick bird will not preen its feathers. When I returned to the second nest, the young male eaglet was still at the base of the cliffs. He's been on the rocks below the nest for 15 days now. He looked a bit better, but his eyes still weren't right. Hopefully, he will recover. How long will the adults continue to feed him before giving up? Could he regain his eyesight? Only time will tell. Back at nest 1, the female brings in a young sage grouse. On July 17th, when I returned to nest number 1, I found it empty. After a thorough search, I finally located the female eaglet sleeping under a sagebush on top of the cliff. Being on the top of the cliff means her first flight was successful. It was nice to see a strong, healthy eaglet. The young eaglet will stay near its parents until late fall, after which it will wander widely and eventually develop its own territory. In 4 to 5 years, it will hopefully find a mate, and the cycle will be complete.